Let's be honest, if relationships came with manuals, dating would be so much easier. But they don't. And even if they did, every person would come with a different edition. One of the most frustrating truths about dating, especially for men, is this. Sometimes women desperately want you to do certain things, but they'll never actually tell you. Not because they're playing games, not because they're trying to make your life difficult, but because the things they crave most aren't about what you say, they're about who you are. They're not looking for you to recite the perfect line, they're looking to feel something when they're with you. And that's where it gets tricky, because we're trained to look for obvious cues. She says she's cold, you give her your jacket. She looks hungry, you offer her food. Straightforward, clear, easy. But the stuff that really matters, the things that hit on a deeper emotional level, those things aren't loud, they don't show up in big bold letters, they're subtle. They live in the small moments, in what you don't do or don't say. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where everything seemed to be going fine? She laughed at your jokes, she texted you back, she said she had a great time, and then suddenly it fizzled out. No explanation, no real clue as to what went wrong. You're left there trying to piece it together like some CSI detective for your own love life. Here's the truth. You probably missed one of these 4 things. And that's not your fault. These aren't things we're taught. No one tells you that women want you to lead, but in a way that doesn't bulldoze their opinions. That they want to feel desired, but also respected. That they want to feel safe, but never caged. That they want connection, but without the pressure of constant validation. It's a paradox, right? How are you supposed to give someone something they won't even ask for? But here's the key. Just because it's unspoken doesn't mean it's invisible. Once you know what to look for, once you start to understand the hidden emotional language of attraction and connection, everything changes. You'll begin to see the signals you were blind to before. You'll start to notice the little tests, not manipulative ones, but subconscious checks to see, can I trust him with how I feel? Can I relax around him? Does he get it without me having to spell it out? And when you do get it, when you show up in those subtle, powerful ways, it's not just about making her like you more. It's about becoming someone who shows up better in every relationship, confident, attuned, magnetic. So today I want to break down the 4 things women are craving from you that they'll never put into words. These are the difference between a date that was nice and one she can't stop thinking about. Between being liked and being unforgettable. Let's get into it. Confidence. It's one of the most attractive qualities a man can have. But here's the thing most guys miss. Confidence isn't about dominance. It's not about being the loudest guy in the room, having the final say, or constantly taking charge in every situation. Real confidence is quiet. It's calm. It's a presence that makes her feel like she can relax because she knows you've got it handled. But leading with confidence without crossing the line into control is one of those subtle things women crave but rarely articulate. And when you get it right, it shifts everything. Let's start with what it doesn't look like. A guy who tries to control every little thing, where they go, what she wears, who she talks to, might think he's being decisive, protective, or alpha, but what she's really feeling is boxed in, smothered. It's not attractive, it's exhausting. On the flip side, a guy who never steps up, always defers to her, never makes a plan, or shares an opinion, might seem easy going at first, but very quickly that becomes frustrating too. Because now she's doing all the emotional labor. She's carrying the weight of every decision, and deep down, she starts to wonder, can this guy actually lead? Can I trust him to have a vision? Can I feel safe letting go of control when I'm with him? That's the line you've got to walk. Leading with confidence means stepping into your masculine energy in a way that invites her to relax into her feminine. It's about direction, not domination. Initiative, not imposition. It's that moment when you say, hey, I made a reservation for us at this little spot I think you'll love. No 20-minute debate about where to eat. No endless, I don't know, what do you want? It's calm, intentional action that says, I've got this. You're not forcing it. You're not dragging her anywhere. You're inviting her into an experience you've already thought through. And here's the thing. When you lead with confidence, it gives her space to breathe. It lets her step out of decision-making mode and into connection mode. You stop being just another guy she has to guide, correct, or manage. You become someone she can follow, not because she has to, but because she wants to. There's also something really sexy about a man who knows what he wants, but doesn't need to bulldoze anyone else to get it. That energy is rare. Most people either come on too strong or shrink back entirely. But when you walk into a room with a quiet sense of certainty, when you offer your opinions without needing everyone to agree, when you take initiative without needing a medal for it, people feel it. And more importantly, she feels it. She's watching how you move, how you handle resistance, how you respond when plans shift or something goes wrong. That's where your leadership really shows up. It's also in the little things. Do you order the Uber without making her ask? Do you guide her through a crowd with a hand on her back, not to control her, but to anchor her? Do you take the lead in conversations, helping them flow, so she doesn't feel like she's carrying the whole thing? It's these small gestures that say, "You're safe here. I've got this moment handled." And when a woman feels that from you, it's magnetic. She starts to soften, open up, trust. And let's be real. This doesn't mean being perfect. Confidence isn't about having all the answers. It's about how you show up when you don't, when you're uncertain, but still grounded, when you're nervous, but still choose to move forward. That's real leadership. That's the energy that says, I might not know what's next, but I can navigate it. I can handle the mess. And that's the kind of man she can get behind. Not because she needs someone to fix everything, but because being with him feels like home. So when we say lead with confidence, not control, what we're really talking about is emotional leadership. Taking the initiative to create experiences, being attuned enough to notice when she's uncomfortable and proactive enough to adjust. Choosing to be decisive while still leaving room for her voice. Not needing to overpower her, but not disappearing either. That balance is where the magic happens. That's where attraction lives. In the space where she feels both your strength and your sensitivity. Where she feels your direction, but also your flexibility. Where she's not just with a man who wants her, but a man who knows how to lead her into something meaningful. There's a difference between being noticed and being seen. Every woman has experienced being noticed, complimented on her looks, liked on social media, checked out at a bar. That's easy. Surface level attention is everywhere. But being seen, that's rare. That's when someone looks past the obvious and recognizes the parts of her that most people miss. It's when you notice the way she tucks her hair behind her ear when she's nervous, or how her tone shifts when she's passionate about something. It's when you see the effort she puts into things that no one else acknowledges. And that kind of attention, that makes her feel something deep. Most guys think making a woman feel appreciated means showering her with compliments. And sure, compliments can be nice. But there's a world of difference between saying, "You're hot," and saying, "I love how your energy shifts when you talk about something you care about." It's magnetic. One is generic, the other shows that you're paying attention, not just to her body, but to her being. That's what hits differently. That's what makes her pause and think, wait, he gets me. The crazy thing is, women rarely ask for this. They won't tell you to look deeper, to notice more, to pick up on the things they don't say out loud. Because if they have to ask, it ruins the magic. It turns what should feel intuitive into a chore. And that's why this is one of those things they desperately want, but won't ever verbalize. They want to feel chosen, not just physically, but emotionally. Like out of everyone in the room, you're dialed into her. Like you're not just hearing her words, you're hearing her. And this isn't about trying to be smooth or overanalyzing everything she does. It's about being present. When you're truly present with someone, you naturally pick up on details most people miss. You catch the slight hesitation before she responds to a question. You notice the difference between her "I'm fine" that really means she's fine and the one that means she's holding something back. You see the moments when she lights up and the moments when she dims, and you respond accordingly. Not because you're trying to win points, but because you're genuinely tuned in. This kind of presence creates a feeling of safety, emotional safety. She begins to feel like she can show you more of herself without being judged, misunderstood, or dismissed. And when she feels that, she opens, she leans in, she becomes more relaxed, more real, more connected. Because now she's not just performing or people-pleasing. She's being seen and accepted in a way that most people never offer her. And the best part? When you start showing up like this, the whole dynamic between you shifts. She stops feeling like she has to compete for your attention or prove her worth. Instead, she starts to feel chosen in a quiet, steady, powerful way, like she's the only woman in the room, even if you're surrounded by others. That feeling is unforgettable. It's what builds trust. It's what deepens attraction. It's what makes her think about you long after the conversation ends. It's also worth saying that being this present doesn't mean being overly intense. You don't need to stare into her soul or dissect her every word. Sometimes it's as simple as remembering a detail she mentioned in passing and bringing it up later, asking her how that meeting went, noticing she's a little off and asking if everything's okay. Not to fix it, but just to let her know you're there. These small moments add up. They create a rhythm of attention that tells her, you matter. I'm paying attention. I see you. This is the kind of attention that makes a woman feel deeply valued. It's not loud or flashy, but it cuts through the noise of superficial conversations and temporary flings. It makes her feel like she's with someone who actually wants to know her, not just get something from her. Someone who's interested in the full picture, not just the highlight reel. Someone who sees past the mask into the real stuff she usually keeps hidden. When you can make a woman feel seen in this way, everything changes. The connection deepens, the trust builds, the attraction moves from physical to emotional. An emotional attraction, that's the real glue. That's what sticks. That's what makes you stand out. Not as a guy who said the right things, but as a man who actually saw her. There's a kind of protection every woman is quietly looking for, and it has nothing to do with being able to fight off an attacker or win a physical battle. It goes much deeper than that. What she really wants is someone who can protect her energy. Someone who understands that her peace, her time, her emotions, and her mental space are sacred, and that not everyone deserves access to them. She wants a man who doesn't just show up when things go wrong, but who prevents them from getting heavy in the first place. The kind of protection that makes her feel emotionally safe, respected, and honored without having to constantly explain herself or set boundaries that should already be obvious. Most men hear the word protector and think it means standing guard, being tough, being the one who steps in if someone disrespects her. And yes, those moments matter, but they're rare. What's far more common and far more impactful are the small, everyday choices that either preserve her energy or drain it. When you're with her, are you adding to her calm or adding to her chaos? Are you the person who brings peace into her world or the person who creates more noise? Protecting her energy means being mindful of what you bring into the space. It's how you speak to her when you're frustrated. It's whether or not you take responsibility when you mess up. It's choosing to listen without defensiveness when she's upset instead of making it about you. It's being the kind of man who's grounded enough to hold space for her without needing her to shrink herself so you can feel bigger. She notices that. She feels it in her nervous system. And even if she doesn't say it out loud, she instinctively knows whether or not she can exhale around you. It's also about protecting her from your own chaos. That doesn't mean hiding your struggles or pretending to have it all figured out. It means being self-aware enough to process your own emotions without making her carry the weight of them. It means not dumping all your unresolved anger, insecurity, or stress onto her just because she's there. Yes, she wants to support you, but not at the cost of her own emotional well-being. She's not looking to be your therapist, your emotional punching bag, or your escape route. She's looking for partnership. For someone who does the inner work and brings a calm, stable energy into the relationship. One of the most powerful ways you can protect her energy is by being intentional with your words. Every sentence you speak has weight. When you're careless with your tone, your sarcasm, your passive-aggressive comments, she feels it. It doesn't just hurt, it chips away at the emotional safety she once felt around you. But when you speak with clarity, with kindness, with respect, even during conflict, it builds trust. It tells her, even when things are hard, I won't turn into someone who's unsafe for you. That kind of consistency is what keeps her close. Protecting her energy also means protecting her from situations that drain or disrespect her. Maybe that looks like setting a boundary with your friends if they're crossing a line. Maybe it's noticing when she's overwhelmed and giving her space without taking it personally. Maybe it's checking in before unloading your problems, or helping her protect her time when she's feeling pulled in too many directions. Because it's not about fixing everything, it's about being aware enough to recognize what's costing her energy and doing your part not to add to the pile. And it goes both ways. She wants to feel like you protect your own energy too, that you're not someone who lets the world walk all over you, that you value your peace, your time, and your emotions enough to stand tall in them. Because a man who respects his own energy will naturally respect hers. He won't need to dominate to feel powerful. He won't need to take from her to feel whole. He won't view her emotions as a burden, but as a space to be honored, held, and protected. She might not say it directly. She might not ever look you in the eye and say, "I need you to be the kind of man who guards my heart, my mind, and my peace with care." But she feels it. Every time you choose patience over pride. Every time you listen instead of react. Every time you hold her, not just physically, but emotionally, with steady presence and no agenda. That's the protection she's looking for. The kind that doesn't just keep her safe, but lets her rest. Emotional intimacy is one of the deepest forms of connection a woman can have with a man, and yet it's one of the hardest things to create when there's pressure surrounding it. A lot of guys misunderstand what intimacy really is. They think it's about being overly romantic, constantly vulnerable, or always sharing feelings. But what women actually want is to feel emotionally close without feeling like they're being pulled into something heavy, complicated, or needy. They want to connect, but in a space that feels light, safe, and natural. Emotional intimacy without pressure is one of the most powerful things you can offer her. And it's also one of the most misunderstood. Is what a lot of men do, often with good intentions. They try too hard to be deep. They share everything too quickly, thinking that vulnerability will fast-track closeness. They ask intense questions too early, expecting an instant bond. Or they go the other way. They shut down, keep things light, stay guarded, and avoid anything that feels remotely emotional, hoping that attraction alone will carry the connection. But the truth lives somewhere in between. Real intimacy comes from creating space, not from forcing closeness. It comes from consistency, not from intensity. A woman wants to feel like she can open up to you without the fear that she'll be judged, rushed, or used. She wants to talk about the things that matter to her, her dreams, her insecurities, her past, her heart, without feeling like she's signing a contract for something more serious than she's ready for. That's where the idea of pressure comes in. Pressure is what kills the moment. It makes the connection feel transactional. It turns what should be organic into something performative. And when she feels like she's being emotionally cornered, even if you mean well, she'll pull back. The best way to create intimacy without pressure is by being the kind of person who listens without needing a resolution, who asks thoughtful questions not to dig, but to understand, who lets silence be okay, who doesn't rush in to give advice or fix something every time she opens up. Sometimes the most intimate thing you can do is sit in a moment with her and let her feel seen, heard, and accepted exactly as she is, with no expectation that she needs to be anything else. Emotional intimacy also means being emotionally available yourself, but in a grounded way. Not oversharing, not trauma dumping, but letting her see the parts of you that matter, your thoughts, your values, what excites you, what scares you. When you can show those parts of yourself in a calm, honest, unforced way, it makes her feel safe to do the same. It creates a rhythm between you, one that's real, one that builds slowly, and one that doesn't depend on drama or emotional fireworks to feel alive. One of the most underrated ways to build emotional intimacy is through play, lightness, humor, shared experiences. People think intimacy is built in deep conversations, but it's just as often built in the fun, silly, relaxed moments where guards are down and you're just being yourselves. When she laughs with you, when she feels relaxed around you, when she forgets about time, that's when trust is being built. That's when she feels like she can open the door to something more, not because she has to, but because she genuinely wants to. Also, creating intimacy without pressure means being okay with whatever pace she's at, not trying to speed it up, not needing constant reassurance. When a woman feels that you're steady, regardless of how fast the emotional connection is growing, she stops worrying that she's going to disappoint you or that she's being evaluated. She can actually enjoy the experience of getting to know you rather than feeling like she's being measured against your expectations. It's important to understand that emotional intimacy isn't about intensity, it's about depth. And depth doesn't always show up in grand gestures or long emotional talks. Sometimes it shows up in consistency, in being the guy who shows up when he says he will, in remembering the little things she tells you, in being emotionally reliable, not perfect, not flawless, but stable. She wants to feel like your presence makes her feel more grounded, not more confused, or calm, not more chaotic. That's the kind of intimacy that lasts. It's built on a foundation of trust, space, and freedom. Freedom to be herself, freedom to feel without pressure, freedom to open up at her own pace. When you give her that, the connection grows on its own, not because you pushed it, but because you created the conditions where it could unfold naturally.